This video will give you information about Chapter 1 and Chapter 2 of The Giver, written by Lois Lowry. As you follow along, I encourage you to use thinking maps to store your information. You can find links for my recommended thinking maps in the video description. The first chapters of The Giver are the novel's exposition. Exposition means introducing the characters of the book. Chapter 1 also introduces the book's setting and starts introducing the rules of the community. As you read the chapter, ask yourself 2 questions. Who seems like an important character? And what is life like in this community? You will quickly see that life seems quite different in the community of this book. Now, let's talk about the characters of Chapter 1. These 7 characters are important. We know they're important because they are mentioned repeatedly and might influence the plot of the story. Jonas is a boy in the story. He's the main character. We will learn about this world as Jonas is learning about the world. We will follow the actions he takes. Jonas tries to be careful about language and the words he uses. He is an 11, meaning he's 11 years old. And he is apprehensive about something happening in December. Apprehensive feelings are nervous or scared feelings. Lily is Jonas's sister. She's a 7, meaning she is 7 years old. Asher is an 11-year-old boy and is Jonas's friend. We hear about Asher in a memory Jonas thinks about. Asher talks too fast and acts a little silly. Jonas's mother works at the Department of Justice. A Department of Justice is where laws are made. Jonas's father is a nurturer. A nurturer is somebody who takes care of others. Jonas's father takes care of babies. Babies are called new children in the book. The elders are adults that make rules for the community. They can change the rules as well. They assign jobs to the people of the community. The receiver is the most important elder. The receiver uses wisdom to help the elders make important decisions about the community. Remember that receiving is when you get something. So the receiver's main job is to get something. The events of Chapter 1 and 2 start to teach us about Jonas's life. First off, what was the setting of Chapter 1 and 2? Where are we? We are in a community somewhere. It might be a small town because it sounds like everybody knows everybody, and there are only 50 children born each year. When do Chapters 1 and 2 happen? We know it's almost December. At the beginning of the chapter, Jonas feels frightened about something, a special event in December. He remembers another time when he was frightened, when a jet flew over their community. Next, Jonas remembers when his friend Asher made a silly mistake with his words. Jonas decides he's not frightened, he's apprehensive. Apprehensive means nervous. See, Jonas thinks very carefully about the words he uses. Then it's evening time and Jonas and his family tell how they are feeling at dinner. Lily tells us that she was angry about a kid breaking rules at recess. Dad is worried about a baby at work, but he will keep caring for the baby. Mom is frustrated, angry, and guilty about a man who keeps breaking rules in the community. Jonas tells his family he is apprehensive or nervous about the ceremony in December. What ceremony is it? We'll find out soon. Because after hearing how Jonas is feeling, Jonas's mom and dad decide to talk to Jonas about the ceremony that's happening in December. The age ceremonies are like big community birthday celebrations. All 50 kids celebrate their birthday at the same time, and they do this every year until they turn 12. At the ceremony for ones, babies are named and given to a family. At the ceremony for 8s, children throw away their comfort objects, which are stuffed animals. At the ceremony for 9s, children are given a bike. Girls remove their hair ribbons. The ceremony for 11s is when children start volunteering to find out what job they might have as adults. At the ceremony for 12s, children find out what their job will be. This is the last ceremony children have. Instead of gifts, these ceremonies signify that a child is maturing or getting older. Chapter 1 gives us information about a lot of rules that the community lives by. As you read, think about what actions are not allowed, what are community members expected to do, and what thoughts, ideas, and phrases seem important to this community. What sticks out as very different from our community? Some of the community rules we learn about are actions that are prohibited or not allowed, and actions that are expected, things you're supposed to do. There are also some ideas that we learn about. Let's think and talk about these common ideas. We learn about something called being released. Jonas doesn't know what it means, but he does know that it is a final decision, a terrible punishment, a failure. Sounds bad. Release means to let go. So somehow people get let go in the community. Babies are also released if they aren't healthy when they're born, and this is a sad thing. And if adults break the rules 3 times, they are released. The age ceremonies are a big deal, of course, but we already talked about that. And we also learned that the community rules are very hard to change. In the chapter, there are many jobs and buildings that are mentioned too. A childcare center, street cleaners, landscape workers, food delivery people, night workers, pilots, coaches, teachers. This sounds very similar to our community. We have these things. However, there are many ideas that seem quite different from the way we think about our current communities. People in this community don't have animals. Animals just means a person who doesn't act right. Elephants and bears are imaginary. There are other communities that come and visit, and then they go back home. As we read more, we will learn about more ways that the ideas of this community are different from our own. Here are some of the prohibited actions that we learn about. Don't fly planes over the community. Don't joke about people being released. Don't hide your feelings from your family. Don't peek at the naming list for the newborn babies. Don't ride a bike until you're 9 years old. Here are some actions that are expected. That means that you're supposed to do it. You should listen to what the speakers tell you to do. You should tell your family your feelings every night. And there should only be 2 children in a family, 1 boy and 1 girl. For just 2 chapters, there sure are a lot of prohibited and expected actions that we learned about. Do these rules make sense to you? Keep adding these to your organizer as you read through the book to keep track of everything you learn about this community and how they think. So that is chapter 1 and 2 of The Giver. The author gives us a lot of information so we can understand what kind of a life Jonas is living and how his life will quickly change when he turns 12. Follow along and organize your thinking by downloading and printing the thinking maps for age ceremonies, characters, community rules, and the sequence of events for the story. Have questions, discussion points, or feedback for this video? Feel free to leave a comment below and stay tuned for the next chapter overview.